You know that feeling when the day is almost over and somewhere around 9 or 10 p.m., something shifts. A quiet clarity settles in. You start mentally organizing tomorrow. You picture yourself waking up earlier, eating better, finally opening that document, finally making that call. The version of you that exists in tomorrow feels capable, focused, rested. And for a moment, that future self feels so real that the relief is immediate. You can almost feel the relief of already having started, and then tomorrow comes, and the version of you that woke up is not the version that made those plans. So you push it again. Tomorrow, Monday, after this thing passes, after things settle down, after you feel ready, most people around you would call this laziness, procrastination, a lack of discipline or willpower. They'd say you just need to push through that. You're making excuses that you already know what you need to do. So why aren't you doing it? The advice is always the same. Just start, just do it, just begin. But that advice never quite lands, does it? Because the problem was never that you didn't know what to do. What's actually happening is something far more layered than anyone gives it credit for. And it has very little to do with laziness. This pattern, the perpetual tomorrow, the fresh start thinking, the version of yourself that always lives one day ahead is one of the most psychologically complex behaviors a person can experience. It gets misread constantly because from the outside, it looks like avoidance. But from the inside, it feels like hope. Here's what the science actually shows. When researchers study delay and deferral behavior, they find something that surprises most people. The brain regions activated when you imagine your future self are not the same regions activated when you think about your present self. Studies using neuroimaging show that many people process their future self the way they process a stranger, emotionally distant, slightly abstract, real, but not quite you. This matters more than it sounds, because when you say, "I'll start tomorrow," you are, in a very neurological sense, delegating a task to someone else, someone you believe in, someone you have high hopes for, someone who doesn't carry today's exhaustion, or today's overwhelm, or today's complicated feelings about the thing you're supposed to start. Tomorrow you is clean, today you is tired, and the mind, always seeking relief from discomfort, chooses the version that feels lighter. But there's another layer underneath, even this one. For many people, the "I'll start tomorrow" loop didn't begin as a habit. It began as an adaptation. Think back to environments where beginning something meant risking failure, criticism, or disappointment. Your own or someone else's environments, where effort was visible but not always protected. Where starting something and not finishing carried a weight that felt permanent. Where the gap between your best intentions and your actual results had consequences that went beyond the task itself. In those environments, the safest version of trying was almost trying. Intending to try, planning to try. Because the plan exists in a protected space where it can't yet fail. The plan is still perfect. The plan still carries all the hope. Tomorrow, that plan is still intact. What looks like avoidance is often a nervous system that learned very early that beginning is the most vulnerable part, not the middle, not the end. The beginning, that first moment of exposure where something new is visible and unformed and yours. This is not a character flaw. This is a learned response to a felt experience, and it's worth saying clearly. This is not better or worse than how other people move through tasks. Some people begin immediately, impulsively, without the weight of preparation or consequence. That pattern has its own cost. Neither approach is the right one. These are different nervous systems, shaped by different histories, navigating the same uncertain world in the ways that once made the most sense to them. Here is the part that most people miss, though the part that reframes everything. The person who always starts tomorrow is often someone with an unusually clear relationship to their own ideal. The image of what they want to do and who they want to be when they do it is vivid and specific and hot. They are not indifferent. They care deeply, so deeply, in fact, that beginning under the wrong condition feels like a compromise of something that matters to them. The postponement is not disconnection from the goal. It is, paradoxically, a form of reverence for it. The cost of that reverence, of course, is time. And the quiet accumulation of self-doubt that builds when the gap between intention and action stretches too long, that part is real, and it's worth sitting with, not as judgment, as information. Because what that feeling is pointing to is not failure, it is friction. And friction, in psychology, is almost never about willpower. It's about the distance between where you are and where the task requires you to be emotionally, cognitively, physiologically. When that distance feels too large, the mind finds the most elegant solution available. It moves the starting line. You are not someone who doesn't want to begin. You are someone for whom beginning carries more weight than most people realize. And that weight is not imaginary. It is the accumulated significance of everything you've attached to this thing, the meaning, the identity, the risk of disappointment. That is not nothing. That is actually a great deal. What you're carrying when you say, "I'll start tomorrow," is not laziness. It's often the full weight of how much it matters to you that you get it right, that you show up correctly, that the version of you who begins is ready, not just informed, but ready. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are a person whose relationship with beginning has a history, and that history makes complete sense, given everything that shaped it. And if this quietly explains something you've carried for a long time without quite having the words for it, there's more about the way your mind works that most people never stop to examine. The next piece might be even more familiar than this one.